What do you mean? What are you talking about? Give us a clue here.
We had. Find definition of of public input on our budget. Well, there's a difference between public input and disclosure, and how that works. Matters of closed sessions. This was good. Partnering with the film festival. You were
the 48-hour.
Partnering with, yeah, and then we could have shorts here and promote independent.
We have new chocolate.
Yep. So there's a lot of good
Is
stuff.
it the 48-hour tea party, the 48-hour film festival, or is there a
No, I
different
think
one?
it's the Asheville.
The Asheville Film Festival.
The Asheville Film Festival.
Okay, so when is that?
That's not till September, is it?
Until September, I think.
Well,
yeah.
okay,
Maybe
get some
later
film, get some film clips ready, some footage ready for the Asheville Film Festival.
Hone your skills here.
Hone your skills here.
Yes.
That was the point. We could partner with them and promote the film festival, and they would promote us.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know anything about the Asheville Film Festival. Do you know any? Does
It's
anybody
growing.
know anything about it?
I don't know a lot about it. I know it's growing in popularity, and it's been around. I think 3 years has it been. I really don't want to quote on that because I don't have the proper information.
In a moment, I'm going to take that place back, but not yet.
And how are you doing?
He's been working, the poor the dear.
Would you pass
Poor
me my
dear.
lab coat, please?
I haven't had a chance to
Poor dear.
pop in,
There you go.
but I've been watching.
But you can,
Have you been watching?
Yeah.
Well, what has it been like watching?
It's been fun. I said last Thursday's show was exciting. There was a lot going on. You got extended all the way to what, 7 o'clock?
So, that's right.
Yeah.
You have been watching.
Yeah.
Or else you've had a spot.
I didn't see Citizen Speaks yesterday. I only saw a
Oh.
little bit of it. I was in and out and didn't have access to a TV.
Well, I heard that Citizen Speech yesterday
Yeah.
was excellent. I saw a little of it myself, but I was on the right.
They changed the table format, which made it easier. It was more like, because when you're an audience
they wanted
member,
to go with the Last Supper effect. Is what they
yeah,
said.
yeah. Well, it made it easier because you were viewing it as a panel,
Mhm.
and it opened up discussion better rather than turning heads and not, you know. So that format worked better. I think a lot better for the show. But yes, the show before that was really good. I watched that and participated by phone. But
Did you notice that they had multiple camera shots yesterday?
yes, multiple camera shots, and the scenery was a little different. I think.
And new audio.
New audio. The audio was Dynamite.
Excellent. I
Dynamite.
was so pleased.
oh
with the
boy,
audio.
just the little bit I tuned in. I
perfect,
was like,
wasn't it?
it was perfect. It was
Audio
how you
was
say
perfect.
creamy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Audio.
Yeah, it was. It was
Audio.
good.
what did they do to make their audio so good?
Well, there's a guy named Randy.
Was that the guy that was here last week that's got the business in Atlanta?
Yes.
With the professional
Right. And,
camera?
And the kind of mixer that I told him to buy for the studio, he bought one. And he brought it in and he used it, and he also brought in, I saw at least 3 of his own Sennheiser microphones that he set up on the table.
Wow.
And then I said, "Oh, are you going to leave this with us?" And he said, "No, I'm going to take it away." So, which is why we don't have it today. But he says he's going to keep it, and he's going to buy. He says he's going to buy us another one,
A mixer or a Sennheiser?
a mixer.
I can bring my own Sennheiser remote.
Microphone.
Mhm.
You could. And it's a lapel, right?
Mhm.
You can do that. You can wire yourself. But wait till we get a mixer that'll handle it all.
Okay, that's
So that
good.
when the mixer comes in, you
And when
can bring your own.
are you doing your audio
For video?
program that we can learn how to do our audio much better?
Audio for video classes, right? We had set a date, but since I'm not going out of town, we're gonna take it up, and I'm gonna make that decision tonight after the certification class.
Well, don't do it the end of June because I'm going to New Orleans.
The end of June.
Mm-hmm.
When on the end of June are you going to New Orleans?
26th.
So I need to get it done before the 26th?
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
I'm here until then.
all right, all right.
So, and I
okay,
definitely want to take it.
All right,
And how many classes do you think it'll be?
I think we said 3.
Okay. Try to start the first part of June, if you can.
Okay,
Yeah.
something like that.
That would
Something
be
like,
awesome.
or even sooner, maybe.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
a week
sooner be fine.
Maybe.
You know when you're recording, you always hear that little hiss in the back, almost like a slight snare drum.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the videos have them on them.
Can you make it with your mouth? Can you show us what it sounds like?
Yeah, just
Just a,
yeah, it's constant.
yes.
You know, but only
Yes.
when they speak. Only when.
Okay, so you mean it's like hellos?
Yeah,
It's
kinda.
under
Underneath it.
the
You notice
volume.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Uh,
And I noticed that
it's not like. It's like a slight snare drum, right
Yeah,
underneath
yeah,
all the
like it,
voices,
but it's,
and it
but
cuts
it's
off and on. It cuts off
It
and on.
follows every word. you
Yeah.
mean. Okay, now
Yeah.
that is using. That's when the sound. He should be taking my class for this.
I am going to take it.
Oh, you're going
we
to?
are going
Yeah.
to take it.
All right. Well, I mean, we would cover it in class. That's when.
We're just putting you on the spot to see if you know. We want to be taking no class from a person who says
No, that's
they
not
know
why. I just was curious
about
about.
something,
I am not
and they
here-
really don't.
I am not here to audition. All right? Hey, I got your teacups over here. All right.
He's holding.
I've got the.
We're testing him to see
it's
if he's
about-
a teacher or not.
And it's about time for some of this stuff to be steeped. Okay, here's what it is. Okay, you'll find that effect as you have described it most commonly when the automatic noise filter
Yeah.
is on the camera. Usually this will be on the camera.
The noise reducer thingy,
Uh-huh.
the NR thingy.
And what it is, the s is constant. That is always on there. Now, how loud the s is depends on a lot of things. It depends on the quality of the electronic circuits that you're dealing with, and it depends on how much gain has been turned up in the whole system. You see what I mean? Now, the closer you get to someone, the louder the signal you're dealing with, the more you can turn it down. When you turn the signal down, it turns that hiss down. Okay, so it's less and less to deal with.
Yeah.
However, if you're working off of a camera mic, you got a pretty good distance. You've got it turned up kind of high. The electronics in the camera are maybe a little lesser quality than maybe rack mount electronics might be for, or the mixer
So
electronics.
you're picking up signals
The-
from other or
the-
variances.
The sound, the hiss sound that you're hearing, comes from almost every electronic component. Produces some form of random white noise kind of stuff. A resistor will
Right.
do it. Now, if the circuits that you're dealing with happen to be built out of all low noise metal film resistors, that helps cut it down. A transistor itself, just hovering at its bias point, there's hiss there. There's also the hiss of background noise, and for instance, if you turn on a television set, and you go to where there's no channel at all, and just turn it up, you'll just see static all over the screen, and you hear that hiss. Okay, that's the background radiation that's in the air all the time. And I think if you look at all those little white spots on the screen, like maybe 1 out of every 50 or maybe 1 out of every 100 of those is actually a reflection of the Big Bang. So that's
Now
how,
that's a lie, folks.
no, that's a scientifically proven fact.
That's scientific hoodoo voodoo.
No comment.
Well, I was going to set the teacups, but I'm going to have to replace you in your seat, because I'm telling you the truth. This is the background radiation that we get. Oh, perhaps you don't believe in the Big Bang, but
I thought he was pulling our leg,
According
because
to-
he was pulling our leg last week when he was telling us that he had George Washington's hatchet that he cut down the cherry tree.
I remember that. I was listening
he
along.
did
He
it
said he had
so-
a hatchet, and I said, "Oh,
and he
this is
did
going to
it
be good." I know. Let's see. Who are the famous murderers of the 20th century you can have the hatchet from? And then he goes, George Washington's like,
it's the very hatchet that George Washington cut down the cherry tree with.
And he said it
He
so
didn't say it's
sincerely.
the George Washington.
He is such a good liar. That's why I think he's lying to us about this Big Bang thing.
See, people can't tell when I'm joking. That is so funny.
Or he's joking. He's not lying. He's joking. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean?
Lying is a harsh word.
Isn't it?
Yes. He's pulling our leg.
Anyway, no, this is current
So are these
scientific-
like these things right here?
the background radiation?
Like some of those dots on your TV, when you see those little dots on there, if you go look up close, you see them. Some of them, 1 in 50 is from the Big Bang.
No, when you turn on a television set
So the Big Bang is still hanging out
Does
in
it
your
have to be-
TV.
and you're looking at the white noise, the static,
Yes.
and you're just getting all just black and white blips, just random all over the screen. Well, what it's doing is it's just looking at the background radiation. It's picking up background radiation, and it's,
Out in the world.
AGC circuit, its automatic gain circuit is full gain because it has nothing to lock onto, and so it's turned wide open and it's amplifying any slight signal that comes its way.
Wow.
And it just gets little black and white blips all over the screen, and that's the static you see.
I wonder if Wi-Fi. I wonder if Wi-Fi affects
I
it.
wanted to say 1 out of 16, but I'm sure it's at least 1 out of every 100 of those dots that you see on the screen is called a reflection of the Big Bang. The Big Bang put out a huge electromagnetic pulse,
Yeah.
and that pulse is still bouncing around the universe and will make some of the little that causes what's called the background radiation.
The Big Bang is still happening, and it's on your TV set.
There you go.
I used
So-
to DX shortwave signals, and
Yeah.
you know the in-between signals you'd hear
Uh-huh.
strange sounds, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if those were Big Bang.
Well, do you
Pretty
think that
interesting. Ambient
Wi-Fi?
No, you didn't come in far
Do you
enough.
think that
you made a grand
There
opening
we
and
go.
you weren't even on screen?
Do you think that Wi-Fi signals are giving us cancer?
Absolutely.
And I don't care.
But
If they're giving me
John
cancer,
said
I don't
we
care. I
insult
want
him
my
anyway. It's not
Wi-Fi.
Give us teacups.
but
Say something
nothing
nice to him.
compared to the cell phone
Right.
and the old-fashioned television screen.
Done talking.
Yeah, with when you
Pumps-
went near it, it would go.
Old-fashioned, just
Static.
regular
These are
like
like
that TV
shortbreads.
right over there. Regular TVs put out a lot of X-ray, a lot of radiation pours
Now
out
the
of
flat
screen.
screens don't.
Flat screens are probably all right. What's that?
So do you need your seat, John?
Moving about another inch away from that TV then.
Yes. I
Okay.
want my seat. Ooh.
Shortbreads.
Oh. Ooh.
I didn't have a chance to bake today, but I will in the future.
That's a great start.
Uh-huh.
Can I have a teacup now?
Uh-huh.
All right.
You know where they are?
They're in the box.
Yeah. Go.
He's washing them.
Good cookie.
He's washing
They're in
them.
the box and they're wet. Grab a saucer and a teacup. Like the floured saucers go with the floured teacups. The plain saucers go with the plain teacups. None of them really match.
He's a flowered one.
Oh, thank you.
And this looks like I didn't get that one very clean.
Get that one very. Who's the honored guest that gets the?
I'll be right back.
The dirty one? Is that one?
I was washing the teacups and the pots for him, and I was not doing it adequately, and he kicked me out.
Someone had dirt on their hands. I have one. I already got mine. I guess I'll go with this has steeped it the longest now. Can I pour some of this in yours?
Yes.
Oh, it's dark. You like dark tea, don't you? I thought so.
I want any kind of tea.
Any kind of tea? Well, it's not as dark as I have seen it, but
It was really dark.
what
the other
happened
day.
to, say the fellow who brings the chocolate?
JJ?
JJ, yeah, that is JJ.
JJ,
You run away?
he's out there talking with Jonathan or something. He can probably hear us right now.
I see.
Yep. He can hear us.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You know, the great thing about out in the lobby of having the TV on, it's a great way to just communicate and send messages out there.
Yeah, we said something disparaging a while ago, and Jen caught it just like that.
Just
And
like
she
that.
hollered.
Move
how
Do I
you
want to know how
know?
you're defining disparaging?
No, we were talking about people who
up for the camera.
go to the studio that gave homage to Kurt and Paul, and we didn't know that Jen had done all the wiring in the ceiling, and she goes, "And I did the wiring."
Yeah, the
So I
teapots
was
make
like,
better.
I'm
Make
impressed.
better.
Jen is not only beautiful but talented as well.
Wait, excuse me, and I have to get Paul and I did it. Paul and I did it. So
Paul and
don't say
Jen.
that I did it all. Paul and I did it
Paul
all.
and Jen, but Jen
Paul
was a
who?
woman with a tool, and she can work that tool.
It was a soldering iron.
That's all right. It's a tool.
Jen, Paul whom?
I don't care. It can be a soldering iron. It's still a tool.
It was the consultant.
Paul the
Paul
consultant?
Lind, Copen and Lind, they were the consultants that came up with all the designs.
Uh-huh.
And actually, what's his name? Jenny Benford's
Any Deskey sons?
what was his first?
Paul Lind did the schematic for the wiring. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Paul Lind did the schematic for the wiring, and they followed it and put this wonderful studio together.
And Jenny
With a
Benford,
with merely a soldering
what was her
iron.
brother's, I mean her boyfriend's name. Let's see, Bruce. But we had a volunteer that helped a lot with hooking up some of the cables around here to this one. I really want to know his name to give him thanks as well. He did a lot.
Okay, and we have another unnamed person who did a lot of the wiring, but the name is coming shortly.
We need to discuss.
And this was
all
originally
this
Jen's
after
office.
After class tonight.
Really?
Yes.
Well, then who's next door?
Okay, this says 2 p.m. Saturday.
That's my replay of the hat making show. 2 p.m. Saturday.
Next door was the prop room, I think.
Is this
Felt making.
turned off?
Prop room.
Turned
We
down.
had a big prop room.
I remember that.
I think I put it just on warm.
And there was just no point because nobody's storing props there.
We weren't doing
we
we weren't doing any studios yet.
But I put cold water in it. I started with cold, and it will.
All right.
The first day we did Mount Dungeon, actually, Paul Snow came in afterward and said, that's the most anybody has so far done with that studio. He hadn't seen anybody else set up all 3 cameras and work all 3 at the same time.
Oh, not even the. Oh, then he would have absolutely freaked if he'd seen us do the anti-show.
There you go. There you go.
Well, probably yes.
Because we had, monkeys running the switcher.
That's he.
And I remember how Paul felt about things like monkeys running the switcher.
I know.
Did he have a bad
Close-minded. He's
attitude about
close-minded about those things.
He was very protective, which, be quite honestly, if I had his job, I probably would have been too, because 20 years in video and film business, and then all of a
see a
sudden
lot.
anybody can touch the equipment. I'd probably be very high strung as
I'd be
well.
very
Very expensive equipment.
Lovely
Yes,
tie
exactly.
you have. We'll have to use that sometime when we're running a
Thank you.
chroma key.
Yeah, I don't wear this on Saturdays.
You should.
I love this tie, but I don't do it on Saturdays.
Why?
should.
What is there a
I just
rule?
wanted to give her the name. It was Brad Hutchinson.
Brad Hutchinson did the schematic.
Well, no.
Way to go, Brad.
He just donated and volunteered, and he did a lot of really
Oh.
skilled work that we really needed help.
What,
with.
helped
He
you
just
solder
completely
and-
donated. Brad Hutchinson. No, he did something with putting connectors on the end of the wires, and when we were pulling everything, he really helped Paul and I.
Oh, for
Brad
the
Hutchinson did a
Ethernet
lot
connections.
of complicated wiring
No,
techniques.
it wasn't for either. I think he was doing something with BNCs, but yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
Stuff that ordinarily people can't do.
So how's everybody this fine Thursday?
Pretty
Fabulous.
I got a new grill. I got a big fancy new grill, and I hooked it up, and it's ready for me to grill a steak on and veggies when I get home.
That's
I bought it, and
That-
it looks
oh,
very
this-
bad.
I'll have some. This
That's all
chocolate.
you looking at.
This
Looking
chocolate.
bad as in,
I-
like, hardcore
this is,
bad, or-
I don't know
Oh,
what
it
this
looks
is, but this is like.
Let's see.
A cookie and that's
Chai.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Chai.
It's wild. It's almost. It tastes like it should be somewhat
It's a
intoxicating.
little minty. Minty overtone.
It's ginger and the spices too. Chai.
You made this flour?
No, I didn't make this flour, but
Oh.
mine are prettier than this.
Okay.
This is a bought flour.
Okay.
But of course yours are prettier.
Mine are absolutely prettier.
Well, you should. You've probably worn ones you've made and I haven't realized it.
Yeah, but you know,
And you say you don't like the Queen's hats?
they're stiff and they're ugly.
Really?
It's tough. I could say it. Opinion.
Yeah.
They're ugly.
Well, the next time we have Robin on the show, do you all recall who Robin is? He was the Brit who
Yes.
who used to be the, what was it, chief puppeteer for the Teletubbies or whatever. Oh, I need to plug my headphones in for a minute and rebalance my sound. The next time we have Robin on the show, it's not bad. We're doing all right. We're yeah. Y'all talk. Let me hear you talk.
Okay.
The Queen's hats are ugly.
Yes. All right. Yeah.
So, this evening, tonight at 11 p.m., this Thursday evening, Mount Dungeon is going to have its most photogenic lead singer yet.
And
The
who is that?
reemergence.
Who is that?
The reemergence of My 55.
Oh no.
Jyoti Mora.
The reemergence of My 55.
Yes.
And who was in My 55 now?
Jyoti Mora, Tyler. I can't remember his name.
Tyler Ramsey.
I'm so horrible.
Tyler Ramsey.
Tyler Ramsey.
Brian
Fine fellow.
Lunsford. Brian Lund.
Lunsford.
Lund.
I'm
Brian.
not good with names. I just remember him as Brian.
Yeah. Jyoti Mora.
Yes.
Yes, My 55 coming back.
And yes, she was by far the most photogenic lead singer we have had yet on Mount Dungeon.
Oh,
and
you've already
we also
filmed it. You already
Oh yeah,
shot
yeah,
it.
yeah. Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna be
we
tonight.
filmed it. It's coming on tonight.
Thursday.
And we also have, and you could be horrified by this if you want, but we also have the worst audio yet on an interview.
On what? On an interview?
Well, I looked
I'll
it on
try.
TV, and it
Do you know
didn't
why?
turn out that bad.
I
But-
do know why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It was the first time we were trying to use the shotgun mic, and we had somebody just standing there holding it with a boom pole, and it wasn't being very steady, and you can hear the sounds of it like shifting in his hand as opposed to the sound of her talking.
There you go.
So he wasn't pointing it properly at her.
So
Was
not
it
only
in
that.
conjunction with
Voice
some other
fluctuation,
microphones?
like you-
Well, yeah, here's the other thing.
You can hear.
This occurred to me as probably a bad idea now, and we're going to try something else on Saturday, but see, vain bastard that I am, even though we set up a shotgun mic, I like to have my own microphone as well. So we had the shotgun mic and,
You know, the only vain bastard.
yeah. But, you know, there's something to be said about it.
Bees in 10 minutes.
Oh no.
You can say that.
What's that?
Hmm?
Okay.
Okay, so that's a
Not when he gets
Well,
on
no,
the
you were
board.
telling
We
me
can't
about-
chastise us.
You were telling me about the shotgun
Yes.
mic?
And like somehow they all got distracted and everything like that. Okay. I have a microphone and there was a shotgun mic going, so effectively I was being picked up by both the shotgun mic and the microphone that I had, and therefore I'm louder than everyone else.
Okay. All right. Now,
And it should have occurred to me that that was a bad idea, but didn't, because I wanted my own microphone, damn it.
okay. Let me tell you what you were probably running into, because
Okay.
you probably heard something that was like phase shifty, sounded like as the mic would move a little bit. You were hearing like some changes even in how can I explain it? Some changes in the tonal quality of things. Anyway, what I'm telling you is that when you're working with multiple microphones, you have phase cancellations, you have phase issues to deal with when you work with more than one
animated.
microphone. So, and particularly when you're working with what did you have? Some lapels and
Just the handheld.
a handheld and
And handheld and a shotgun.
okay.
That's
And
what was going on.
Okay, and when you also when you work a shotgun is a pretty tricky microphone. It has a pretty tricky pattern to it and stuff like that, and it could draw a pretty straight line over where it's affecting and where it's not, and stuff like that. And so you're going to get different phase relationships. We have a lot of that going. We have a lot of phase relationship stuff going on right here among our two microphones, but we try to keep it down to where it's still intelligible. But anyway,
But
Well, we have you
John-
fiddling with the knobs, so I'm sure that helps a lot.
well, it's
But John is going to teach us how to do it right.
right. I don't necessarily do it right. I just because this is the mad scientist's tea party. It's all an experiment. See what I mean? And I get by with it on that. And
So when is that going to happen now?
which is that?
The audio classes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
The audio. Okay. audio for video, is tonight after my class on studio certification, Jonathan and I are going to sit down and figure out exactly when it's going to start. It's going to start sooner than we had originally planned.
Smashing.
So we're going to figure that out tonight, and I guess he will post it then. So I will say that the answer to that will be available by tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
And oh, by the way, Bob Mills says hi.
Bob
Mills. He's a chess player from Vincent's here, older fellow.
Oh,
with,
Bob, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He gave me a random call just as I was jumping out of the shower to come here, and I told him what I was doing, so he told me to tell you hi.
Uh-huh. He's a good one.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
I have to say that you dressed very nattily today.
Very...
Natty.
Nettily?
Natty.
Nutty.
Natty.
Okay.
Natty.
And
Natty.
define what you're trying to
You've got
convey
that
by
like
saying...
satiny collar. That
Natty.
you got this
Natty.
Stylish.
you
Oh,
got
thank
Natty.
you.
the orange
Natty.
shirt,
Sheen.
Thank you.
Yes.
orange
I was
shirt,
going for
black
that.
tie.
Flare. Little,
I was
Is
gonna-
that your is that your good hat?
Not your
It's
ordinary.
my
Yeah,
good
that's a
hat.
very good hat. Yeah,
You know,
that's
this
a
is
good
a hat thing.
See, I've got a good hat, and I've got a very beat-up hat.
Right,
But
that
beat
you
up
usually
hats
wear.
have a lot of character.
Oh, my beat-up hat
I
has
think you got
much
your work
character.
hat too.
Huh?
You have your work hat too.
Well, yeah, I'm never... Yeah, I've got the
That's his
baseball
favorite
cap
hat.
that I have to wear when I'm at work, and you're never going to see me wearing that outside.
He's a man of
work.
many hats.
Many.
Well, this is the thing. This Mad Scientist Tea Party, but these tea parties, they really do seem to attract hatters as well, and
Mad
and
hatters.
yeah. So we've got that end covered. It just naturally happens, doesn't it?
We're not
Indeed.
necessarily that mad though, because we're not using the chemicals that they were using back whenever that term was.
And that is for the best, I
Originated.
believe.
Some of us aren't.
What's the story behind that?
It was the mercury in the sizing.
A voice from
So
beyond
it would
chuckle.
like leach into your brain or something?
The
No,
walls
handling
bring
it,
forth chuckle.
breathing it when they were making felt hats, when they were really blocking them.
Also the
and
hatter.
Oh, you mean mercury?
mercury, yeah,
Yes.
just handling, breathing the fumes. It's
So
because the
Mad as a
stuff that
hatter,
they
hence many
use-
hatters
yeah.
would.
See how this is not a very stiff hat, but this is stiff. This is stiff because it's leather, but
Yeah.
felt. A lot of felt hats are very stiff. Well, the stuff that they used to make the hat stiff had mercury in it.
Ah.
That was before they knew that mercury was in there and it was a bad thing. Kind of like, what Bakelite is? Bakelite was an early plastic.
Yeah.
And they used to make these wonderful, beautiful bracelets, and they would be all carved.
It's a real collector's item these
Yeah.
days if
Yeah,
you can
it's
get it
real-
back.
If
like
there's any
so.
tea left in that little teapot, finish it off.
And it was
and
lethal
all-
to
Is
manufacture.
there any in there?
And all of the
I'll take
Bakelite carvers are
Okay.
dead from the stuff that was in the plastic.
Which one is that?
That's China black.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Do you like the black?
Yeah.
The
That's all you get.
DDT,
That's it.
They used to spray DDT. We were talking about Long Island. The
But
cloud
the
would
reason
come.
I said that is because
not
I
a
hear.
problem. Everyone was happy. All the mosquitoes died.
Oh, I
everything.
remember growing
and
up in
then it was.
Florida.
Uh-oh.
Florida, they would spray these. They would cut. They would
Yeah.
have the duster,
The
crop
cloud.
dusters,
The cloud
crop
would come.
dusters, and the mosquito sprayers. The little trucks going down
Yeah.
the road spreading
That's what we had.
DDT for
You'd say, "Psh," the
mosquitoes.
cloud. When the cloud came, you went inside. Then first you were allowed to play in the cloud.
No, we used to
Then,
chase.
then,
We used to follow
That's
them.
why.
We chased them, breathing
then you were
the
allowed to go
fumes.
inside when the cloud
Until
came,
you
and then
couldn't
it was
stand
like,
it anymore, and
if
then you
your
come
house
out
has
of the
been
cloud.
sprayed by the cloud
As soon as you
contact.
get a breath, you go right back in the cloud and follow them down the
Ah.
street. We used to run behind them.
Yeah, we did. We did too. in
cloud.
Florida. That must be something kids did everywhere.
Yeah.
Run behind the mosquito
really.
trucks.
Because what was like, a
Bring
rock
them
show
the
fog.
DDT.
I know.
I mean,
I
We
know.
missed something, didn't we?
Good.
That
Yeah,
was
no
in
kidding.
the that
You
was
didn't get to run in the
that was
DDT.
the 50s and 60s.
And then there was the fact that the Romans went ahead
then
and
they
made water
wondered why
pipes
we
out
went
of
to
lead and were
acid,
drinking
you know.
water out of lead
Yeah.
pipes.
Exactly.
And then they really started to get weird. The Romans did.
Oh, from the
Caligula.
the lead
Yeah.
He elected his horse to the Senate.
Well, lead poisoning.
Then he invaded the sea.
He invaded the
He
sea.
did. And he
Who,
brought
Caligula?
out the booty from the sea and it's like seashells.
He invaded the sea.
Caligula.
Caligula.
Caligula actually
He was assassinated, wasn't he?
He was.
Actually,
among
Caligula
others.
did a lot
Funny
of
that.
things. Really, a lot of things. I
A
mean,
lot of
Called it a mercy
things,
killing.
good or bad or
all kinds of good and bad. He did a lot of wild stuff. Caligula, if I'm not mistaken.
wasn't he the one that had that that really huge ship in the middle of like a Lake Trebia. And they just recently found it as like a really
Maybe.
a very ahead of its time.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
So
One
maybe.
of Bob Guccione's personal heroes.
Caligula?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For any
Nero.
particular reason?
Septimus Severus.
Because Caligula was a crazy, horny bastard.
Ideal to strive for.
Yeah.
Trajan's column. I've seen that in Rome. Really cool thing.
I've never been to Rome. I've heard many good things about taking vacations in Italy, as opposed to the stories I've heard about taking vacations in France.
When I was like,
France is good. I like France for vacations.
I've got a picture of David Duchovny. I was in a taxi cab and I saw this guy walking in front of me, walking across the road in front of the taxi cab. I was like, that's David Duchovny.
Was this in Rome?
Yeah, in Rome.
Small enough world.
Yes. The X-Files.
When I went to Italy the first time, I was absolutely amazed because I grew up in Florida and we had these families of Italian immigrants, and their yards were always so tacky. Because we drive on the school bus and pick up the Italian kids, you know, on the school bus, and you'd see all these things
No, what are you
out in
saying?
the yard, and
The
the houses
music
were
and
built
different
with
everyday sounds.
marbles and.
Anything from
Then I went to Italy and I was like
Just
aghast at
one
how
little
classy
creek
it was because it wasn't
to a
anything
teapot
like the
whistle.
Italians.
That's
in Florida.
because
put it
10 seconds of brutal, blunt honesty, the Italians that moved to America were the equivalent of the rednecks in America.
You think?
Yeah.
Redneck Italians moved to
Redneck
America.
Italians.
any immigrants. I mean, it's just when people immigrated to a country.
There's
It's-
rednecks in
it's-
Eastern
it's
Europe
the-
too.
Yeah, there are.
Immigrants.
There's rednecks in
Would you-
Estonia. Believe it or not.
Thank you.
The first time I went to Estonia, there were a couple
How
of
literal are you being with that?
Immigrants.
Because I just suddenly had this image of like you drive a Confederate flag in Estonia.
Well, you know, you
this is what happened the first time I went to
be a
Estonia.
Yankee redneck.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
time I went to
have to-
there,
Redneck Yankees are the worst.
there is a
You don't
store
have
in
to be
Redneck
Tartu.
Yankees, the worst rednecks are Yankee rednecks. That's the
Confederate
worst.
flag raising
There-
redneck. There's
there
also
is a
Yankee
store.
redneck.
There is a store in Tartu that sells Confederate flags, and I saw a lot of Estonian rednecks flying the Confederate flag.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding you.
I don't believe that one. She, like, you didn't believe.
I'm telling
One
you
of my
the
stories.
truth.
One of the stories
You
about
mean
the Big Bang.
American rebel flags?
I'm telling American wrote the stars and bars. They were flying that on their
Are
motorcycles.
they like
of-
whack or something?
on their
there?
motorcycles of no, you know.
Well, maybe they like the
They're
way
wireless,
it looks.
right?
Maybe they
No,
like
they're
the
motorcycles.
design.
Yeah, no, but the whole country is wireless. You told us.
Yeah.
You said wireless. The country is wireless. You
It's
said.
wireless. Yeah.
Right. You think it affects them or what?
What? No.
wirelessness.
You know, the thing is,
wireless
I can see that becoming one of these things that just gets popular as it goes around the world. Because symbols
Yeah.
from other cultures just become popular in other
It's
cultures
like-
for no
Yeah, yin yang.
apparent reason.
all
About
over
7,
the
8
world
years
now.
ago, they were wild about Leonard Skinner. That was the big
Sure.
band.
Okay. Okay. I have a Skinner story.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Switch
This,
the-
okay. This is the Skinner story. I went I guess it was 20 years ago. Okay, I moved out to Madison County, and I was far out Madison County. As a matter of fact, it was probably a mile to pavement from where I lived, down dirt road to get to the pavement.
Calm, quiet place.
Pretty quiet place. And so then you go further, as you go further on down. When you got down to the crossroads, down a couple of crossroads on down,
Come to the crossroads.
there was a little general store down there, which closed at night, of course, but I remembered there was a Coke machine out in front of the
Is this in
store.
Walnut? Is this in Walnut?
No, but not far off.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I could tell. It was, I can't remember names. It was, you know how you go over?
Stackhouse?
Close. It's all in that area,
Okay.
but it's just on the other side of Mars Hill. You know how you go over Walnut to get to
Yeah.
okay, it's like if it was on the Mars Hill side of Walnut. which is the road you got before you go over it. If you haven't been over it in a couple of weeks, you check to see if it's washed out before you take.
Sandy Mush or whatever.
No. Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I know what you're talking
the
about.
story is after I'd been living there a couple of weeks or something, and I decided about 1 in the morning or something that I wanted a Diet Coke. So I went down to the little store. And when I got down there were some people hanging out in the parking lot and stuff, and I didn't pay much attention to it. And I went over and I got my Diet Coke out of the Coke machine, and I turned around and started to walk back to my car. But there was a wall of redneck, more or less, between me and my car. They had formed a semicircle. And
immediately thinking, how am I going to talk my way out of this one?
And it was like it was obvious, like from where I was to go to my car, I had to go through this. They made it that way, so I just started walking, and as I was getting up to them, I heard one of them say, it sounded like I heard one of them say "twist up a tater," and which was a term I had never heard, and then I heard another one say, "Yeah, twist one up," and I'm thinking, twist one up. Well, okay. I said, well, I don't have anything, and they said, you don't, and they rushed me, and one of them grabbed my Diet Coke out of my hand, plastic bottle, grabbed it out of my hand. They literally picked me up and they threw me in the back of a van. And I heard one of them saying, "We got buds over here, as long as your arm to your elbow," is what they said. And I looked out, and one of them was pouring my Diet Coke out, and he reached in a cooler and he poured half my Diet Coke out and reached in the cooler, and he filled the rest of the Diet Coke up from a bottle of liquor that he had in the cooler there, and threw me back in this van, and they were giving me sort of the hometown treatment.
So it was a
there.
welcoming committee.
Yeah. This
you
was
made friends. That was very kind of them.
and
I said, "Where's gonna be worse?"
and we're getting to the point of the story here. And so as I ask people wherever I go, and when I meet new people, I always ask people, what kind of music do you listen to? Because I'm interested in what people listen to, you know. And there was one of them, and this guy always kind of chewed when he talked. He always did like this when he talked. And I said, what kind of music do you listen to? And he says, I reckon Skinner's about number one around these parts. That's Mr. Skinner's story.
He said, "Oh, I know them."
That's the Skinner story. So I reckon Skinner's about number one around these parts.
Well, that's very good natured.
There's the story.
He lives in Black Mountain.
Yeah, he lives right around here. Sure enough.
The most noteworthy story from the redneck past that I have in my genetic heritage, and this is something that an uncle of mine is actually very proud of, is that I have an ancestor that shot a carpetbagger.
All right.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Did it kill him?
Yes. And the sheriff found him and said, "I never saw you. Be out of the county by the end of night."
Right.
To get back to my Estonian
That's a
rednecks.
different welcoming committee right there.
Yeah.
I was on the plane from I think it was Hamburg to Tallinn, the capital city, and there were a couple of brothers on the plane. They started a fist fight
On the plane.
on the plane, hitting each other like crazy, and the stewardess.
When
had
you
to-
say a couple of brothers, do you mean Estonian brothers?
Yes.
Okay.
they're beating each other up.
And like cussing each other in Estonian
Yeah,
as they
yeah,
did.
Yeah.
And
And
you
the
think,
stewardess had to bring them apart.
and you thought, I'm going to this place, right?
That was the first time. by the end of the plane ride, they were like happy and bloody and everything like that. And,
Did
cannot
the
do
waitress
that.
start
You cannot
getting
do
free
that.
drinks or something, or?
they were drinking too much before
Okay.
that was the problem.
You cannot do that on planes anymore. You can't get away with any foolishness like that anymore.
This
on
is
an
Estonian
airplane.
Airlines back in
Yeah,
the
but you
Well,
still,
early
I bet you
90s.
can't do it now.
yeah.
You can't do it on. You can't do. Remember before 9/11, all the
Yeah.
terror activity on the airplanes with people acting up and showing their rear end on the airplane.
I
You
remember.
can't do that anymore.
I never heard how this resolved, but I can guess how this was resolved. I remember right before 9/11 happened, there was somebody that was going nuts in the airplane, and everybody got together, like, restrained the guy. Basically, a few people sat on him and ended up suffocating him in the process. And this guy's, this guy's mother...
Sitting on him, because that's a terrible way to die.
There's better ways.
Have you ever
to
sat
die.
on a man just to watch him die, Joe?
No. Not in the list.
Really? Not in the last 10 years?
No.
Not since a long time.
Not since 9/11.
But this guy's mom was talking about suing the airline, and then 9/11 happened, and you can just guess where that case probably went. Yeah.
My favorite
The sentiment was no longer with her.
get along the neighbor story. I had a good rapport with my neighbors, and I come home one day, and I lived in a little holler, and this family owned all the land around me. And I'm driving up in my car, and I see one person with a shotgun on the drive, and I'm like, And I get back down, and then there's like 6 people, and they're all like with their guns, and I'm like, And he said, no problem. We got it taken care of. You just go on home, and if you got a problem, you let us know. And I'm like, okay. I just went into my house. I had a little house above a garage, and I didn't ask no questions or whatever. But I never got bothered.
You never found out any more what it was?
No. I had some interesting. One Christmas Eve, I was at home and I was making dinner. I was gonna invite some friends over. I get a knock on the door, and my neighbor's girlfriend comes to the door, and she was beat up pretty bad. And she says, "Call the sheriff," And I said, "Okay, well, I'll invite her in." And said, "No, I don't want to come in. Just call them. They'll come." And I was like, "All right." So I called the sheriff's department. They said, "What's the problem?" I said, "Well, I've got a woman in need. She looks like she's been, hurt, and can you come?" So they come. She disappeared, and sheriff comes. Well, what? Police come down the driveway, and like I said, the house was here, and it was a little holler, and you had to come down the driveway. And then I hear a ruckus, and I hear, and she had taken a machete and cut him, and he was in the bushes bleeding. And then they come to me and they say, "We got both of them locked up, and we want to know what you want to do with them." And I'm like, "What I want to do with them?" She says, "Well, you made the phone call, and it's on your property." I said, let me get this straight. 2 people are pretty much disturbed and tried to kill themselves. They're in the parking lot. You want me to be responsible for putting them in jail tonight? It's like, that's not my, decision to make. So I just let it ride, and they, I guess they said that they detained one and took one to the hospital, and then came back. But I was like, I'm not going to be responsible.
No.
I called to help the woman.
Yeah.
When she went after him with the machete and cut him,
I was in my house, and
any particular part of his body that...
he was cut up pretty bad.
Okay.
He was cut pretty bad, yeah. But they took him, and they asked me if they was like, "Well, what do you want? Do you want to, what do you want us to do with them?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What? And they were insinuating that I was the complaintee, and I was like, "I didn't complain about it. I said I saw someone hurt, and I called you, I was like, "You do that police stuff that you do." I said, "But it's not my deal, I'm
Story.
You have an axe murderer
That was
story.
my favorite Christmas Eve story.
Axe murderer story.
Well, no one died actually, because I saw them both afterwards.
Well, that's
I think
good.
they got
Were they
back
in...
together again.
Oh God. I was about to ask you that question.
Yeah.
That somehow
They had a long-standing relationship.
Mm.
Yeah.
every once in a while just try and kill each other, make up, get all lovey.
They say sex is better afterwards,
After you try and kill each other.
I'd recommend that you go for the big plot now.
I wonder about that. I wonder, but you never know.
And then you should pour some in here. Thank you, please.
Well, I can tell you about
Okay, axe murder.
the Estonian axe murderer.
In Estonia, of course it is.
Of course. Estonia is an interesting place. I had a flatmate named Margus, who's from
Margus.
Who was from a little town called Kivioli, which was like
Can I have one?
like a
Just
mafia
one?
town. And so he invited one of his friends, a couple of his friends, to come down and stay for a while.
Is that Marcos?
Margus.
Margus. It is Margus.
Margus.
Okay. Margus.
Margus. Anyway, he came